Harris County Meteorologist Jeff Lindner is joining us live now to talk about the recovery. Jeff, thanks for your valuable time. What are some of the biggest hazards you're still seeing out there on the roadways?
Yeah, the biggest hazards continues to be the downed trees and debris on the roads, along with the downed power lines and power poles. There's still a little bit of flooding in certain locations that had some high water yesterday, but most of that is going to be receding as we get into today. But again, if you're getting out, driving around, be very careful. I was out earlier this morning, coming back up here to Transtar, and there is some trees down in the roadways, and sometimes you can come up on them pretty quickly, especially at night. And so be careful. And as you mentioned, power lines, stay away from power lines. Even if that power line has been laying on the ground for 2 or 3 days, CenterPoint could re-energize that line and you not know that. And so stay away from power lines, at least 30, 50 feet away from any power lines out there as people are starting to get out into their yards and stuff and starting to clean up a little bit. Be very, very careful with that.
Yeah, such an important reminder there. What about flooding that we saw yesterday? We did see some dramatic rescues taking place. White Oak Bayou was a big problem with flooding. Can you bring us up to the status of our bayous in our area?
Yeah, the bayous have done a great job overnight of carrying the stormwater out of here. Most of them are back down towards, I wouldn't say normal conditions, but well within their banks this morning, and the majority of the flooding on the streets and the roadways has gone. There still may be some underpasses where the pumping systems are still trying to get rid of all of that water, especially down towards downtown. So there could still be some isolated spots of flooding at some of these underpasses, but the creeks and bayous did very well, considering the amount of rain we had and the time we had. We have not had any reports of significant structure flooding, widespread structure flooding. So that is, great news this morning with everything else we're dealing with. We potentially didn't have a lot of structure flooding. And a lot of that is the work and the infrastructure that's been put in since Harvey to help mitigate some of these rain events like this. And, we had rainfall yesterday morning south of I-10 of 8 to 12 inches in 5 or 6 hours. I mean, that's a lot of rain that we had come down in a short period of time.
Yeah.
And so, yes, we had street flooding. Yes, we had some water rescues. But when we're starting to look at these assessments today, the bayous and creeks did really well.
What would you say to people who saw the video from 288 yesterday near Brays Bayou? There's been a lot of money poured into projects to improve flooding over there. We even had Congressman Al Green out demanding answers why flooding keeps happening there. But you seem to see it a little bit differently, Jeff, that the projects are actually working.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Brays Bayou and look at the situation we have at 288, that portion of 288 is extremely low. And so if you look at it, it's like a canyon. And so water is going to go in there, and just from the rainfall itself. And as the bayou gets high, that water is going to back up into that. A lot of Project Brays was designed to prevent flooding or help eliminate flooding, reduce the risk of flooding of the homes and the structures, and that seems to have worked yesterday. The separate situation with 288 and the infrastructure there is a transportation issue as much as it is a bayou issue. And so we saw the same thing on I-10 and at I-45 on the north side of downtown Houston, where these sunken low areas of our freeways are. When those bayous get up, the water is going to go in there. And so looking at how that can be alleviated is probably something along the lines that TxDOT can take a look at and help with.
All right, Harris County Meteorologist Jeff Lindner, always so good to see you.